Happy Thursday, happy second day of Lent. Today's art is a 17th century piece by an Italian artist, Francesco Trevisani. It is a picture of the baptism of Jesus, and that comes referencing Matthew chapter 3, verses 13 through 16. So let me read this for us. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan River to be baptized by John. But John tried to deter him, saying, "I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" Jesus replied, "Let it be so now. It is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness." Then John consented. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up in the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, with whom I love, with whom I am well pleased." So, we're at the beginning, chapter 3 of a 28-chapter gospel. This is not the beginning of the story. Many Lent devotions actually start with the last week of Jesus' life, Holy Week. And part of the reason to do that is because there's so much material there. So the Gospels tell the story of Jesus' life, but they're not biographies. They don't give us the kinds of information you would expect with a biography. There's a little bit at the beginning, we get a little bit at Jesus at 12, then we sort of start at 30, we get a little bit of his life between 30 and 33, and then we get a lot for the last week of his life. So the synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they're synoptic because they're similar. A third of those Gospels are devoted to the last week of Christ's life. John's Gospel, half of the book is the last week of Christ's life. This led one person to say that the Gospels are really passion narratives, that's accounts of Christ's death with long introductions. So there's a lot in the Gospels on the last week of Christ's life. We're not starting there, we're starting at the beginning of Christ's life, which is not, to be clear, the beginning. You're still, when you start with the New Testament, you're coming in, with 15 minutes of the movie to go. Like you missed the first hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And so lots of people do not understand, or they think they understand, but they don't actually understand because they're coming in so late in the movie. In any event, we're starting at the beginning of Christ's life, and he is here being baptized. So, why was Jesus baptized? We can see John doesn't think Jesus should be baptized. Luke's gospel actually starts with the announcement of John's birth. An angel says to Zechariah, who is John's father, that although he and his wife Elizabeth have been married a long time and are old, and Elizabeth has never had any children, that she is going to give birth to a son, and that son is going to be John. It's going to be one of the sort of the advanced guy that's going to set everything up for Jesus to follow. So John has been on record that, his whole life he is set up in order to announce Christ's birth. So he's baptizing the River Jordan. Here comes Jesus to be baptized. The problem is, it's a baptism for the forgiveness of sins. And Jesus doesn't have any sin. And so John says, stop, no, you shouldn't be baptized. And for sure, I shouldn't be baptizing you should be baptizing me. But Jesus, and this is key here, Jesus says, no, this needs to happen in order to fulfill what's going to happen. He is coming now to be our representative, your representative. This is a substitutionary game. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 makes this, but there's this big metaphysical transfer that comes when we come to faith. We give to Jesus our sin. He gives to us his righteousness. He dies in our place so that we can be forgiven. And so that's what's happening here. It's a big deal, and John's a little confused, but Jesus is baptized, and then as he comes up out of the water, The Holy Spirit, we've got a Trinitarian passage here. The Holy Spirit comes out of heaven in the form of a dove, and the voice of God the Father says, "This is my Son whom I love, with whom I am well pleased." So my challenge to you, I said each day there's going to be a little push for you to do something. My challenge for you today is to be affirming of somebody, just as God the Father is affirming of his love and of the goodness of Jesus. I want to, especially today, especially with all that's going on in the world, I want you to find somebody that you can encourage today. Happy second day of Lent. Talk to you soon.